Have you ever felt like your heart sinks a little deeper once the sun disappears? Do you notice that your mood sometimes drops as night falls? For many people, the evening hours carry a kind of weight. Problems that seemed small in the daylight suddenly feel enormous when darkness arrives. Worries grow louder. Loneliness feels sharper. And hope feels like it has stepped a little further away. This isn't just your imagination, it's something very real. It even has a name: nighttime depression. In today's episode of Haseeb English Podcast, we're going to explore why sadness often feels stronger after sunset and how both the body and the mind play a role in creating this emotional storm. By listening carefully, not only will you sharpen your English, but you'll also learn something deeper about emotions, about balance, and about understanding yourself. And by the end, you'll walk away with 6 major reasons why sadness grows heavier at night and ways to reflect on them. So stay with me, because what you hear today might just change the way you look at your evenings forever. But before we begin, I want to remind you, this is for learning and reflection. If you ever find yourself struggling with your mental health, the best step is to reach out to a professional. No podcast or video can replace real, human support. Now let's begin. Why does sadness feel louder when the world grows quieter? During the day, your brain is busy. Work, school, errands, little tasks, they act like a protective shield, keeping sadness in the background. But at night, that shield slowly fades. The phone stops buzzing. Emails stop arriving. Even the sounds outside grow softer. Suddenly, silence surrounds you. And in that silence, your emotions step forward. The worries you brushed aside in the morning come back stronger at night. If you're already anxious, the quiet makes it even louder. This is often where nighttime depression begins, in the empty space that appears when distractions are gone. That's why people often say evenings feel heavier than mornings. And understanding this matters, because it shows us something powerful. Emotions are not random. They respond to the environment. And when the environment grows quiet, sadness finds more room to grow. Why does loneliness hit so much harder after dark? Think about it. During the day, even the smallest interactions can lift your spirit. A quick chat with a friend, a wave from a neighbor, a laugh with a colleague. These little human moments warm the heart. But at night, when everyone else is busy or asleep, the absence of connection feels sharper. Even scrolling on social media doesn't help. In fact, it can make things worse. Seeing photos of people laughing, smiling, enjoying life, it can make you feel like the world is moving on without you. And your brain, wired for connection, notices this missing link. That's why evenings can feel so heavy. It's not weakness. It's human nature. Why does overthinking love the night? When the world slows down, the mind often speeds up. Overthinking, also known as rumination, is one of the most common nighttime struggles. Your brain starts replaying old conversations, mistakes, or worries like a broken record. A small thought turns into a huge story. And because there's no noise, no interruptions, those thoughts echo louder and louder. The mind becomes its own echo chamber, repeating the same fears again and again. On top of that, overthinking triggers stress hormones, which makes it harder to sleep. Poor sleep then feeds more overthinking the next night. It's a loop that feels endless. This is one of the strongest forces behind nighttime depression, not just darkness itself, but the mind turning against its own peace. And speaking of sleep, let's talk about its role. Sleep and emotions are deeply linked. A good night's rest gives your brain time to repair, balance hormones, and reset your mood. But when your sleep is short, broken, or delayed, your brain misses this healing process. That's why poor sleep leaves people feeling anxious, hopeless, or easily irritated. And at night it gets worse. Your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to rest. Some people even wake up at 3 a.m. with racing thoughts. By the next evening, the body remembers that stress and prepares for another restless night, creating a cycle of sadness and fatigue. Over time, the mind begins to connect nighttime with difficulty, making the evening hours emotionally heavier. This is why sleep isn't just rest. It's one of the strongest foundations of emotional health. And when it's missing, nighttime depression almost always grows stronger. But it's not just sleep. Artificial light also plays a role. Light isn't just for seeing, it tells your brain when it's time to rest. Sunlight during the day helps your body stay in rhythm. But at night, artificial light from lamps, TVs, and especially phone screens tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. This delays the release of melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy. The result? Restlessness when your body should be winding down. That restlessness mixes with tiredness, which makes you more irritable, more sad. And the worst culprit is the blue light from screens. That's why after an hour of scrolling before bed, many people feel anxious and unable to sleep. The glow may seem harmless, but to your brain, it's a signal. Stay awake. And when your brain is tricked like this, nighttime depression becomes heavier. Your internal clock also plays a role. This inner clock, called your circadian rhythm, tells you when to feel awake and when to feel sleepy. But not everyone's clock is the same. Some are night owls. Some are early birds. Trouble comes when your natural rhythm doesn't match your daily responsibilities. Imagine your body wanting to stay up late, but your schedule forces you to wake early every day. That constant conflict increases stress, and stress feeds sadness. At night, when you're trying to rest but your brain is still buzzing, the discomfort grows stronger. Over time, this mismatch creates low moods. Sometimes it's not just the mind, it's your body clock pulling against your lifestyle. Late night work or study habits can make this worse. Sure, it feels productive. The house is quiet. No interruptions. But the costs are heavy. Too much screen time, higher stress hormones, and no real recovery for the brain. The next day feels empty, heavy, restless. It's a reminder that nighttime productivity isn't free. It borrows energy and emotional balance from tomorrow. And then there's isolation. It's not just about being physically alone, it's about feeling emotionally cut off. During the day, little contacts, eye contact, a smile, a short chat, reduce that isolation. But at night, when those interactions stop, the separation feels louder. Even in a full house, if there's no emotional connection, you can feel isolated. And in that silence, the mind can even imagine rejection, even if no one rejected you. That's how nighttime isolation deepens sadness. It convinces you that you're cut off, when really it's just a natural pause in human connection. Memories also return at night. Old regrets, mistakes, or embarrassing moments, things you thought you buried, suddenly feel fresh again in the silence. A memory from years ago can come back as if it happened yesterday. This is how nighttime combines past pain with present silence, making both feel heavier. Fatigue also adds to it. Being tired isn't just about low energy, it weakens emotional control. When your body is drained, your brain can't regulate feelings as well. Small problems feel like disasters. At night, fatigue is at its peak, so sadness naturally feels stronger. It's not just in your head, it's your body running on empty. And hormones? They play a huge role. Cortisol, the stress hormone, usually drops at night, but if your rhythm is off, it can stay high, making you restless. At the same time, melatonin should rise to calm you, but light exposure keeps it low. Too much cortisol, too little melatonin. This chemical imbalance leads to sadness and irritability. For many, other hormonal shifts add to this: puberty, cycles, stress. That's why moods can shift so suddenly at night, even without a clear reason. And let's not forget silence itself. Silence can be peaceful, but for many it becomes uncomfortable. With nothing to distract you, your thoughts grow louder. The mind fills the quiet with fears, worries, memories. That's why nighttime often feels like a battle with your own mind. And at night, negative thoughts feel more believable. Fatigue, hormone changes, silence. Together, they make harsh thoughts sound true. In the morning, you might laugh at them. At night, they feel real. Recognizing this is powerful. You can remind yourself, this is just a night thought, not reality. Social comparison also cuts deeper at night. Scrolling through social media in the quiet hours makes every image sting harder. Happy pictures and achievements feel like proof that you're behind. It's an unfair comparison, but in the silence, it feels real. And then there's tomorrow. As bedtime comes closer, the mind starts worrying about the next day. Deadlines, tasks, responsibilities, they all feel heavier at night. Your tired brain magnifies them until they feel impossible. This makes sleep harder, which makes the next day worse, and the cycle repeats. Daily habits add to this, too. Too much caffeine late in the day. Irregular meals. Little exercise. Endless screen time. These choices disrupt your body's balance. At night, the effects show up: restlessness, heavy mood, sadness. On the other hand, calming routines, like reading, gentle stretching, or listening to soft music, help you unwind. Habits repeat daily. And repeated habits build repeated emotions. Nighttime depression is also more common now than in the past. Long ago, evenings were slower, darker, and more natural. People followed the rhythm of the sun. But today, with constant connection, bright lights, and endless entertainment, nights don't feel like nights anymore. Work continues, notifications never stop, entertainment is always one click away. This lifestyle keeps stress high and rest low. And it's one big reason why nighttime sadness has grown so common in our modern world. So what can awareness teach us? Awareness is the first step. Once you know the causes, the darkness feels less mysterious. Instead of blaming yourself, you start to see patterns: loneliness, overthinking, poor sleep, hormones, habits, silence. This knowledge gives you space. You can catch yourself and say, "Wait, this is just a night thought." You can notice when scrolling makes you feel worse. You can recognize when your body is just tired, not hopeless. Each moment of awareness creates distance between you and the sadness. And that distance is the beginning of peace. Understanding nighttime depression doesn't mean curing it instantly, but it does bring hope. Because once you see that this heaviness is not weakness, but a natural response of the mind and body, you feel less ashamed, less afraid. You also see small changes you can make: protecting sleep, reducing screens, building calming routines. Most of all, you realize nighttime sadness isn't forever. It doesn't define you. With care, with attention, evenings can feel calmer and mornings can feel lighter. And remember, while this podcast is here to educate and support you, if nighttime depression ever feels overwhelming, reaching out to a professional can give you the support you deserve. So, let's bring everything together into 6 simple points. First, the night is quiet, which can make loneliness feel stronger. Second, fewer distractions give space for overthinking. Third, sleep problems and artificial light disrupt the body's natural balance. Fourth, when your circadian rhythm doesn't match your schedule, stress increases. Fifth, late-night study or work may feel useful but actually steals tomorrow's energy. And finally, silence and comparison can amplify emotions that feel lighter in the day. These don't mean you're weak, they're just patterns many people experience. The key is awareness. Because when you understand, you can make changes. You can protect your rest. You can remind yourself that nighttime thoughts are often louder than they are true. And you can hold on to the fact that while night brings shadows, morning always brings light.